Hi everyone, this is Linda, and we're going to kind of cover creating those fringy eyes on that pillow, the monster pillow, the owl pillow, whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to do this using the MySewnet Platinum software. We're going to talk about modifying a Tassel SuperDesign. We're going to use Stitch Editor. We're going to move design elements around. We're going to use Encore. We're going to add a motif. We're going to use letters to create other design elements. And again, we did this in MySewnet Platinum, but it can be done in the other versions. You're just going to have to learn to copy and paste between modules. I decided that I was going to show you guys how to make the eyes. Now that's the only thing I'm going to show you how to do on the eyes for that pillow. So we're going to get started. So let's start with a new window, blank canvas. The hoop we're going to use is the 150 by 150. And then what's really nice about the MySewnet software is I can move back and forth between the different modules, which I really, really like. So we're going to actually go to Create. We're going to go to Digitizing. Give it a second for it to pop up. And when this pops up, you're going to do Start a New Window with no picture. We're going to do Next. Then we're choosing the 150 by 150 hoop. Choose the 150 by 150 hoop, and then we're going to do, and if that's not what's showing, go to Change Hoop and do that. We're going to do Finish. So we have the 150 by 150 hoop chosen. So now what we're going to do is we're going to insert a super design because we're going to use one of those designs to do all the fringe. We can create it from scratch, but this is just a great way to show you how things move back and forth. So we're going to do Insert Super Design. We're going to change the category here to Tassels. We're going to look for the little witch, which is here. And then we want to change the size to about 70. You can leave it at 79. It's really going to be your personal preference on how big you want your eyes to be. We're going to do Insert. And then we need to close this. And now we have the witch there in the center. But we need to get rid of a whole bunch of things because the only thing we're going to talk about is this little broom part. So over here in your film strip, you're going to, at where it says Group, you're going to do a right mouse click. You're going to say Ungroup because I don't want anything grouped because I need to start getting rid of things. Select the very first one, and I'm going to do my little slider, and I'm going to come on down, and I'm looking to where the broom actually starts, which is element number 59. I'm going to hold my Shift key and select that one. It's a feathered satin, and I'm just going to select Delete. And part of it's gone. So now the next thing I need to do is get rid of some more. I'm going to come back up, slide back up, and I want to start with the feathered satin, which is part of the broom color, which is number 13 now. And I'm going to go all the way to the bottom, hold my Shift key, select it, and again, we're going to do Delete. So the only thing we have left is this part right here. Okay, so we're going to get rid of some more things. So we want to leave this pattern fill, which is kind of like an area that kind of sews behind here, but we don't need the rest of this. So I'm going to highlight number 3. I'm going to use my Shift key again, and I'm going to come down here, and I don't need any of this. I don't need this. I'm going to go all the way down to number 9, and again, I'm going to select Delete. So the only things I have left is a pattern fill, a satin column, a single stitch, and a running stitch. And the only reason this is, if you notice how this happens, there's a stop and a start here. That's those little green pieces that are right there. And I actually want it, when this stops, I want it to travel down so it comes to the bottom. And that's part of what that, those, if you look really close at your film strip, you'll kind of see that. So now, so the very first one I'm going to pick on is this pattern fill, and I'm going to change the density on that. So I'm just going to do a right mouse button, and I'm going to come down here where it says Properties, and I'm going to change that density to 10. I just need some stitches there. It's kind of going to give that fabric a little bit of stability. And then I want to do step number 3. Well, so I'm going to click on there, right mouse button. I'm going to do Properties again. And I'm going to change that one to 10. So I'm going to get a little less density there too. I'm going to do OK. So now I'm actually going to come to step number 5, which is this one down here. And I want to zoom in for that. So I'm going to do my little magnifying glass, and I'm click, hold, and drag a box and get really close to this. Right mouse click in order to get rid of your magnifying glass, and see where this end is at. I actually want it to come here so that when I do the Encore, what will happen is it's going to start here and it's going to do its little kind of a part of some threads that are going to kind of hold your satin stitches in place. So I want it to end here so that when I do the Encore, the next one is right next to it. So I'm going to just see how my mouse has changed, and it now has those 4 arrows. I'm going to take and I'm going to just drag that up there. And so now what will happen is it will start here and it will end here. So then when it does this next one, it's going to start here and end where I need it to end to do the next one and go around and around and around. Actually, it's going to go start here, end here, then it's going to come up and around this way. So with that done, the other thing I need to do is I need to take this end, and I don't want it to be quite so pointy. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to select satin column, and I'm going to actually take and I'm going to just see how I now have those nodes there. I'm going to take this guy and I'm just going to slide it in. And I don't want to go all the way. I want to get it to have a little bit of a point, but not much. So it is fairly close, and you can see those pattern fill down behind it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to close this digitizing part, and I'm just going to come up here, and you can do it from file and exit, or you can come up here to the X in the upper right hand corner, and I'm going to select that. It's automatically there. My witch is gone, and the only thing that's here is this, which is just really, really cool. I'm going to go to Encore, and I'm going to do this, and I want to have 9 repeats. So I'm going to show you this, and I'm going to do preview. Oh, that's not the way I want it. I need to cancel that. So I'm going to cancel this because I need to rotate that a little bit. So we're going to do here, and I'm going to, with this selected, I'm going to do a right mouse button, and I'm going to click on properties, and I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. Do OK. So now he's facing this way, and now I'm again going to do a preview, and now he's kind of going the same way. Now with my mouse, you see my mouse this way, it's just a regular arrow. When I come here, it's got a cross. When I'm in here, it's got the 4 arrows, and 4 arrows just means I can move the whole thing around on my screen like this. Or if I'm here, I can actually drag this circle area so it's either further out or closer together, and I want to get it really, 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 really close. So almost on top of each other. If it's a little bit overlapping, it's okay. It's going to be fine. So now with that the way we want it, we're going to hit apply, and we now have the first part of the fringe. What's going to happen when this actually stitches out is it's going to do very long stitches, and you're going to cut the bobbin thread on the back side. Now I found if I slowed my machine down to about half speed, this worked a whole lot better. I started getting a couple of breaks because there is a lot of things and a lot of stretching of your stitches a little bit. So just be very aware of that. So by going about half speed, you're probably going to get a better stitch than trying to do it at full speed. What I want to do here is I actually want to combine this as one design. So I'm actually going to come in here, and I'm going to do a right mouse button, and I'm going to do combine selected. And with that done like that, I'm going to then go to Stitch Editor, right mouse button, edit in Stitch Editor, which is so cool. It takes me right over there. It takes the whole design. I don't have to do copy and paste. And this is where it is. Now, in order for me to see what's going to happen is right now, after every stitch, there's going to be, it's going to think it's got a color stop, and I want it to get rid of some of those trim commands that are in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to color sort it. And if you look, you got all these little trim commands, boom, 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 all the way around. So I want to get rid of those. So I'm going to go to the Modify tab. I'm going to do Trim Commands, and I'm going to say Remove All Trim Commands. So now it will not trim and stop and tie a knot. It's just going to continually sew until it comes to the next color, which is what we really want to happen. So with that done, I'm going to close this module, just do this, and there's my design still there. And now I need to add the center part of my eyes. So we're going to go to the letter tab. The font I want to use is called Antonio. And so to do that, Antonio, I guess it is, we're going to do Font Manager because I want to actually just do a search for it. So I'm going to type in Antoni. In fact, I'm just going to leave it just like that. I'm going to hit enter and it's going to find the ones I want. So I actually want the largest one possible. And I'm going to select that and I'm going to close this. So the one I want to do is I'm going to do a period that's going to go right here in the center. So let's make sure nothing is selected by clicking outside of the area. And so we're going to do a period. And the size I want is 65, which is still bigger than what's recommended over there, but I want it pretty good size. So once I've done that, I'm going to hit apply, and there he is right there in the center. Now I want to change the density on this. I don't want it quite as heavy as what it normally calls for. I'm going to do a right mouse, and I'm going to do satin column, and I'm going to edit that and I'm going to change that to about an 8. It's a little less dense that way because you have a lot of stitches going on around here and I just don't want this to be too terribly heavy. So I've got OK selected, and now the other thing I want to do is I need to get another letter, and I'm going to use the letter O this time. Make sure nothing is selected, and I'm going to change this one to Arial. Now I happen to know that that one's fairly close right in here, and I'm Arial 14 to 20, and this time I want the letter O, and it's a small O. The size I'm going to use is 30. Making sure nothing is selected, and I'm going to do apply. Now I can mess with this a little bit. I can make it just a little bit larger if I want to. I can change it around a little bit, but I think that's pretty much what I want. But I need to right mouse click this too because I don't want it quite so thick. Right mouse, satin column. I'm changing this to 10. That seems to be my default when I'm doing this kind of stuff. So you can kind of see it's kind of flared out a little bit. So we are now going to change a couple of other things, but play with the fonts because you can get all kinds of fun little shapes using different fonts that are up there. So we're now going to add that little highlight that's going to go right here. And I'm going to zoom in here so we can see what's going on here. I want to add a little highlight in here. So where I'm going to go is I'm going to go into the frame tab. Now, if you're using the Premiere Plus 2, it's a different, you're going to have to look for borders or frames and find the one you want. But we're doing MySewnet. So we're going to pick on Motif Underline and then select Motif. And I want category I'm leaving, I'm sorry, group is universal. The category I want is actually Candle Wicking 2. And I'm going to go and find the largest one of these, and I'm going to come down here. And you want the one that doesn't have any dashes or anything, extra stitches. You just want that little candle wicking just like that. And I'm going to change the height to 5. Oops, not 55. 5, and it automatically is going to change my width to 5, and so it makes it a little bit larger. I just want it left at a running. I don't care about the rest of it. I'm going to do OK. Don't want anything selected. Click outside of the area, and I'm going to hit apply. Ooh, I forgot to do something. Gee, imagine that. I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to pick on repeats, and I'm going to pick on 1 repeat. I don't want more than 1. So I repeats 1. I'm going to hit apply, and there it is. Now, when I get in here, if you've not zoomed in, you want to zoom in pretty good on this. So when I slide my mouse over the top, it's kind of hard to see this, but if I have my mouse and it grabs that little corner there where the circle is, it's going to let me rotate. If I grab right in the center, it's really hard to see that, and I know that, and I'm sorry, I'm going to zoom in a little bit more so you can actually see this. So if I take my mouse and I slide over the very center, it looks like there's it's just straight lines, like a straight cross. You want it so that it has the arrows like this, so I can actually move this up here. And I'm going to zoom out here. So let's go and change some of the colors so that you can kind of see a little bit differently. So we're going to change this one. I'm going to change this to white. I'm going to change this one to black or navy blue with just a dark color. This one I want to be actually yellow. This one I want to be more of a brown. And there's my eye. So what's going to happen if I don't remember to do a couple of things is if I have my remove overlap checked, it's going to remove some things. And so what I want to do is go to File, and I'm going to go to Configure, and I want to go into Export, and I want to make sure that remove overlap is not selected. It's going to help with the whole process of what you're going to do. So when I go to stitch this out, what's going to happen, it's going to go all the way around that circle. It's going to do the center, it's going to do the eye, and that. If I leave and configure File, and I'm going to go back here, File, Configure, and if I leave in here where it's export, what's going to happen, where the remove overlap, I'm going to do OK, and I'm going to watch this stitch out. What's going to happen is I'm going to lose some of the density and some of the stitches that are back here. If you notice, this isn't solid any longer. So I want to make sure that when I export it, that I make sure color sort is not checked. And remember, if I'm sending this design directly to my machine, it remembers what I have configure set up to. So I'm going to go back to configure. I'm going to take export. I'm going to say uncheck that again. So now I have it so that everything's going to go. Now I need two eyes. I don't want to have just one. So what I want to do is I'm going to group these. So I'm going to actually take all of these and I'm going to do click on the first one, Shift key, hold them all down like this, and I'm going to do group it. I'm going to group it, and then I'm going to duplicate it. So I can do a couple of different ways. I can do a copy and a paste, or I could just select duplicate. So I have a second one. I have one here, and I have one here. And when you get ready to sew these out, you want these really close together, and you want them almost so that they're touching. It depends on how big your pillow is going to be or whatever you're going to make with this. But the other thing is I need it so that the colors all stitched like I want them to. So I want the browns to go at the same time. So, and I also want to know it's going to do this, and it's going to do that brown, and then it's going to come over here and do this brown. But rather than it go from here to now do the black, I want it to do the black here and then have a jump come back this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select these, and I'm going to right mouse, and I'm going to say ungroup it, and I'm going to right mouse, and I'm going to ungroup it. So I can actually start moving these around. So it's going to start with this one, and then I want it to do this one. I'm going to just take and slide that back up. MySewnet is wonderful for doing this. So now what it's going to do is it's going to do the black, but it's going to do the black on this side. And so what it will do is it will do all this. It's going to jump back over here. So let's cut out one of the jumps. I'm going to take this guy and I'm going to slide this up here. So now what will happen is that one will stitch. This one will stitch. It'll do the center eye, the left eye, and now what it'll do is the iris part of it, and then it will do the center. And then it can jump over and do the iris and the center. I'm not sure I really want to do that. Let's make sure that this happens. This one, it jumps over and does that one. And then I want this one to sew last. So I'm going to move this one up here. So now the way it will stitch is actually this one. Watch how it goes. That one over on the right. This one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. So let's watch it stitch again. It's going to do all of that. It's going to stay on the right and do the center, then jump over and do the left. It's going to stay on the left and do the iris part of the eye. And then it's going to jump over to the right, do the iris, and then it's going to do the highlight on the right, and then over to the left. It's going to cut out your jumping stitches going back and forth between the two of them. So now you're ready. You can combine them, you can make them a group, you can do however you want to do that. But I'm ready. I can save as and I can export, and I'm ready to go. So I hope you learned something. I certainly hope that I see some examples of what you've done. Thanks for watching.